until like we were on stage. I was so nervous for them, but seeing all their work together and it being and then Becky and I flew to the East Coast for perfect timing. So for his birthday, because he grew up in New York, so maybe his dad did it that way. I asked, I was like, I don't know, what is that? Just sing happy birthday for me. And I have that birthday as well, so. It was a long summer. Yeah, I didn't go to New York show, but I went to Boston and Philly.